Hurston's here, do I come?
How you doing?
Hurston?
Do you know
Good to
Ashley
see you.
Holt?
Hi, Ashley.
Hi,
How are you?
Ashley.
Good to see you.
She covers the Albany. She's got the Albany beat.
Great.
And which she can have for the rest of her life if she wants
No,
it.
no.
And,
But you got a passport to come up for SOMOS.
that's it. Yeah, but it's revoked on Sunday at noon, and I'm out of here.
No.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. I know you come to these conferences. I know that you have activities and that you also are interviewed and make speeches. We're in a budget process kind of mode right now. Everybody's trying to work deals. It always amazes me that there's always, I don't want to get you in trouble, but the fact is that why isn't that the state controller is not involved in what happens with these monies that are the people's money? It's always, I'm bewildered by it.
Well, it's interesting you raise that question, because one of the challenges I always say I have with my job is that folks don't always understand why we were set up the way we're set up. We are deliberately not set up to be the policy shop. We're not elected, I'm not elected, any controllers to make decisions. But after the legislature and the governor decide how to spend the money, our job then is to follow the money and then make sure it's being spent appropriately. But the kind of decisions that are being made now is how much money to spend on which programs. At the end of the day, that's why people elect their senators, assembly members, and their governor. So we comment, but we don't tell them what to do.
But don't you? I just want to.
Yeah.
But wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're the guy that holds exactly every dollar and cent that belongs to the people. You're making investments on behalf of the people.
Yep.
You know what can be done or can't be done. Shouldn't we at least before they approve this budget or present it to the entire legislature and in the Assembly and the Senate, say, Tom, can you take a look at this? Does this make sense? Can we afford this and avoid all this nonsense?
Well,
that we catch up?
keep in mind what we do after the executive budget proposal is presented, we put a very detailed report out commenting on that question. Is it affordable, and not just short term, but long term, does it make sense? Where we don't weigh in is picking and choosing which programs.
How often do they listen to you?
Well, perhaps not often enough. Perhaps not often enough.
So, I mean, like,
it would be nice if they listened a little more, but you know, it is what it is.
I actually, before I ask my question, I do have to say, this is a throwback. I still laugh thinking about your LCA reaction video. It was beautiful.
We had fun, a little bit of stress putting it together, but we had fun once it was done.
You should see the LCA. You should see Jessica Bakeman last year, the week before the LCA. So what do you think of the fiscal health and the affordability of the executive?
You know, short term, this budget, like a number of the more recent budgets, it's more realistic on the front end in terms of revenue assumptions. So that's the good news. And we've had this year that's ending March 31st, you know, we'll end up in balance. I do have concerns about the out years because the governor has not been very specific about how he's going to stay within that 2% cap that he's talked about for state operating expenses. You know, and I've said people deserve to know, are programs going to be cut? We're talking about raising revenue, i.e. taxes. So the out years, I still have a concern that there are budget gaps. Manageable ones, no doubt, but I still think there will be gaps. Look, the reality is the economy is improving, but not at a robust pace, especially when you get outside of the boroughs of New York City and Long Island. There are many parts of upstate that are really struggling. I know that'll be part of the focus of SOMOS to talk about that. Employment, you know, the numbers are better. Many of the jobs, as Hurston Wells knows, in the city now that have been created are at a lower end of the wage scale than the jobs they replace. So we have some big issues there that impact on revenue coming to the state. So I do think we have to be careful about some of the choices that are being made. I also hope that we keep this budget on time. I do think that's important. So I am concerned some of the rhetoric around education, around the DREAM Act, around certain issues, I hope that doesn't get in the way of responsible compromise and doing the right thing.
So I have to ask, like everyone does at this time of year, do you think it's going to be on time?
I do. I actually do. I do. I know there's always bumps in the road. I think it will be.
It's so boring.
You know, well.
What do we have to report then? Come on.
You'll have a lot to report because there's a lot in this. Ethics.
I'm telling you, there's a lot to
ethics, education, economic development. You know, there's a lot. And some of these issues.
The governor's not going to get grief? Not at all? If it were up to you, you'd do it differently.
Yeah, but don't you think already there's been some level of grief? There's been a lot of concern about education.
Yes.
A lot of frustration on the DREAM Act not
but the problem
being treated
is,
on its own.
And you know this very well because you were a part of the assembly.
Yeah.
That you actually then have these 3-4 guys no women.
Right.
They still exclude Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
And she should be included.
And she should be included, which is
and,
unfair.
as should the Republican leader in the Assembly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have a situation where then they work it out and it's a huggy kind of thing. I mean, Andrew Cuomo lifting the speaker and hugging a bear. What is that? What kind of signal does that send? I mean, to me, it bothers me. It's got to bother the rest of New Yorkers. What did he do? Can he just flip him over if he doesn't do what he says? I mean, you know what I'm saying? The optics here are bad right now. I'm sorry, Mr. Comptroller. The optics are really bad.
You know, keep in mind, this started out in you always do. This year started in a very unusual way. So I think it's fair to say that this is not a session or a budget process that is similar to others. The governor, as we all know, has put in so much programmatic language tied to the appropriations, more so than he's done in the past. That's created some of the complication. What's important is that everybody be willing to come to the table and compromise. But I do hope the compromises don't compromise the core values that we care about. And that's what remains to be seen. So I think even though the budget should be done on time, and I think it will be, there'll still be a lot for you to talk and write about, because not every issue is going to be dealt with. There's going to be a lot of big issues still out there.
It certainly seems that way.
Yeah, it does, and there's a lot of issues. But the thing is, I want the governor to lose sleep. You know, April 1st, counting down goes to 2nd. This is from my own.
Person, the fact that he knows you are in town tonight, I guarantee you, he is not going to sleep. I guarantee
One eye
you.
open.
Thank you.
Governor, we're keeping him busy for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for informing us about the whole process. Thank you so much.
And with that cup of coffee.
I know. I got to talk to you about that.